what is HIP Office? So 3.5 years ago, we decided we were going to get this rolling. We spent about 6 months talking to different inspectors, trying to figure out what were the strengths and weaknesses of their office platform at the time, and put a lot of them into a kind of a board to help us out, help us guide what we were creating. We have a big group on Facebook where we discussed a lot of things along the way, and we still do. It's called the HIP Office Discussion Group. If any of you guys want to join that, you're welcome to. It's open to everybody now. It was kind of a small group of about 50 multi-inspector firms and some solo guys for quite a while. And then we spent 2 years before working on it. We had 6 programmers before we loaded in our first inspector, and that was in January of this year. And now we have over 300 inspectors that are using it. We already have guys that are over 400 inspections for the year that are loaded in the system, and we're cranking out new features constantly. I think every single day we have 1 or 2 new things that are released, and we have about 10 more things that you guys have asked us to put on the to-do list. So it's a very live, active, constantly changing animal, and I love it. One of the big differences from HIP Office, from dealing with the desktop and the mobile software, if we finish something on HIP Office, we want to release an update, we can push it in a couple minutes. When we push an update to Apple, it can take them up to 7 days before you guys see it. And sometimes that's highly annoying when we've, fixed or added a couple more things in those 7 days, and we end up pulling it and posting a new version, waiting for them to approve it. And on the desktop version of the software, we have to work on installers and do a lot of testing and stuff before that gets pushed out, just to make sure everything goes smoothly with the install. So, and even that process alone takes me about 2 days. So one of the biggest things that we wanted to do is over half of our inspectors right now that use HIP are using no scheduling system. So we wanted to make this inexpensive for them to use, and we wanted to make it easy for them to use. And so one of the things we decided from the beginning is we made HIP Office $50 flat per inspector, and that includes the HIP cloud within it. So 90+% of our inspectors already have the cloud service. You're already paying 20 bucks a month. This adds another 30 and makes it $50 a month flat. And that helps cover all the programmers and everything that we have with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share screen and open this up here. And let me drop back to the main HIP Office screen. All right, you guys able to see my screen shared there? Give me a little nod. Okay. All right, so HIP Office opens up to a nice dashboard. You can actually change a lot of what shows on it by clicking on the different gears. But the goal is to give you a quick kind of synopsis of what's going on with your company at the time. We've gotten a lot of good suggestions along the way of things to add in here, and so we've been adding more and more. Some of it's just fun. We did a chart that the more you use an agent, their last name appears on here. You can see I use Jane Agent a lot, but this is one of our test accounts. I didn't want to pull anybody's live information up. Shows me the current weather in my city, shows me the upcoming orders I have for this week. On the right-hand side, it shows the order activity. There is an audit kept of every single action. So every time an email goes out, every time a text message is sent, every time a report is viewed or an order is created, there's an audit trail for everything. That was something that was really important that we had heard from guys like Mike Casey when they were dealing with any sort of legal actions, was to be able to show, what IP address was it coming from, and when did they open the report, when did they look at the contract, when did they sign the contract. We wanted to make sure we gave you as much of that information as possible. So this order activity is kind of an overall for the entire system, but we can break that order activity down just to a specific order at any time as well. So, but this just gives you a nice kind of quick view here. Yeah, shrink this. Okay. Now, the number one thing that guys are going to be doing is obviously creating orders. I'm just going to kind of show you a few of the things before we get there. Up at the top, we have a couple different icons here. The first one here is the mail icon. This is a list of all scheduled emails and then a list of emails that have recently gone out. So at 12:45, I'm in Pacific time, so 45 minutes ago, a scheduled email was sent out to let a client know and an agent know about an order that went out. And I can actually scroll down this list, or I can click on go to mailbox and view a larger version of all the emails that went out. At the top, it has scheduled emails. That's any emails that are scheduled to go out right now. So right now, there's nothing pending. It could be an email you have set to go out tomorrow or 5 days from now, or after an order closes. There could be quite a few scheduled. And this is a list of all the emails that have gone out and then what order they were. So this was order 126. This was the subject. This was the time it went out, and then the title of the email that triggered it. Along the same lines, we have our SMS or our text messages. So with the text messages, you can set up all the exact same emails or exact same triggers as an email, and I'll go over that here in a bit. But basically, you can schedule a text message to go out when an order is booked or to remind someone of an inspection that day. And I can see I have 4 text messages that are scheduled to go out over the next couple days to remind someone of the inspection coming up that day. And I can see all the text messages that have been sent out already. And then I can see any replies to those text messages, and those will show up as well. You'll also get an email if there's a text message. HIP Office all has a browser notification, so it'll pop up and give you a browser message as well. And then with this, the text messaging feature is free. If you want your own custom phone number for your zip code, for your area code, which we recommend, then there's a $20 a month cost to cover the cost of creating that custom number. But you can go either method that you want. The alarm right here, these are all the notifications coming up. So if there was any issues, for example, it was unable to send a text message for order 126. The reason was the phone number wasn't entered in. So phone number was 1, I can click on that and get more details. And I can scroll down and see, email was sent out, contract was sent to client, an order was created, and any other information that I have here. I can quickly, jump to my reports, jump to my calendar, or jump to create an order. I can search through orders at any time. So if I start typing an address in or a name, and then over here under your name, we have your profile and different account settings. So the main thing here, and I'll open this up real quick, is to be able to sync your calendar with your Google Calendar. You can create a brand new sub-calendar within your Google Calendar just for your office events, or you can use an existing one. And then you can also come in here and skin this for your office, so you can change the color scheme of the whole program. You can go through and change your date format. We have a lot of customers that are outside the US. We have users in 22 countries now, so not all of them do month, day, year. In fact, that's pretty much just the US. Your time zone, that kind of stuff is all set up when you start using HIP Office. It'll walk you through a setup guide and get you going on all that, but you can always come in here and modify stuff as well. The measurement system there and everything else too. Let me just check right here and see if I had any questions along the way. Okay, looks like we're still good. Okay, so going over, I'm going to expand this menu. I can expand and contract this as much as I want. If you get used to all the icons and you don't even need to expand it, I'm going to go ahead and click on my new order wizard, start going through this. Please make sure you guys keep yourselves muted there too, unless we stop to do question and answer. When you're going through, you can jump through the different portions of the scheduler at any point. The scheduler can be done by you, or it could be something that you embed directly in your website. So this is a form that you can embed in your site, and it'll shrink down to fit different screens or mobile screens. this is what it'll look like if you're going through and yourself or your office staff is adding this in here. I can go through and I can select from existing clients, or I can add a new client directly in here. When you add 2 clients, so let's say I have Bonnie and Clyde here as my 2 clients. You're prompted with, do you want both clients to sign the contract? And if you say yes, then a separate email will be sent to each client. And then if both clients, or a separate email will go to both, and they'll both have to individually sign the contract, and those signatures will be merged into the final contract. It'll show both signatures on there. That's something we had a lot of guys that were asking for. It's up to you whether you use it or not as you're going through. Going through, same thing with the agent. I can click on Agent Jane on here as my buyer's agent. If I know the selling agent, I can select Bob Elliott on here, make him my agent. I can go ahead and save, go to the next screen. As you're typing in addresses, we hit Google's API and try to complete the address. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one and auto fills out. I can fetch all the property information from Zillow. As you guys know, Zillow is not infallible by any means. So obviously, double check that information, but that's at least the information that they have. So if you're on the phone with the client and you're adding that order in, and they tell you it's a 1,500 square foot house, and Zillow brings up it's a 4,000 square foot house, then obviously, you want to check on that before you give them the final pricing. The other thing that it'll do here automatically is, here's where the address is. I can show directions. It'll automatically show me how I'm getting there from my office. It'll tell me the distance and approximately how long this would take during this time to make that drive. Obviously, that can vary greatly, but that's what the average time is going to be. So all things to try to help you schedule this out. You can add in any notes. If there's a gate code to get in, there's dogs on the property, any of that stuff, you can add that in. If Zillow has the photo, which seems to work about half the time, it'll add it. Otherwise, you can upload a property photo, or when you upload the inspection report, we'll actually upload the cover photo as well. So we can grab it at that time too. Going through next. So you have your primary inspection service. Everything here is completely customizable. So for this test account, I have residential, commercial, termite, mold, and radon. By primary, what this means are, these are services that I'm willing to do on its own. So in this case right here, I'm not willing to go out just for a sewer scope, but I am willing to go out just for a mold inspection or just for a radon inspection. So if I wanted to, I can select, residential inspection, and then I'm going to add on to it termite, sewer scoping, and a thermal inspection. Those are my add-ons. Now, this distinction is important when we get to the contracts, because one of the things that we did that was a little bit different is, instead of creating a possible contract combination for every combination of primary and add-on services that you have, HIP Office will automatically create a contract for you that combines all the services together. And I'll cover how that works in a minute here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next screen. And the next thing that we're doing here is requesting our appointment. Right now I have the 7th on there. It's showing me any inspections I have on this day. I can also click on calendar, look at all the inspections I have coming up. So I have 6 inspections these days. You can have time slots. So when the clients are looking through, they're choosing from maybe an 8 o'clock slot, a 12 o'clock slot, and a 4 o'clock slot. When you're scheduling yourself, it'll show you those slots, but you can fully override everything that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's say I'll book another appointment for tomorrow. And you'll notice I'm going to schedule it for 4 o'clock p.m. And it automatically calculated that the duration should be about 2.5 hours based on the size of the house. This is based on information you put in. You can change it right now as well, but you enter in how long it takes you to inspect a house based on size, based on the distance that you have to drive, based on each of the ancillary services you're adding on there. And then that way, when a client or an agent is booking the inspection, if you have 3 time slots and your slots are all 3 hours long, and someone goes and tries to book a 6,000 square foot house, and that's going to estimatingly take you 6 hours, then what Hip Office will do is it'll only present to the client or the agent a time slot, like the first time slot of the day or the second time slot of the day, and then it'll book 2 slots. So if they book an 8 o'clock appointment, it's going to take 6 hours. It'll book up both slots automatically. So all you'll have left is, your 4 o'clock slot because the 6 hours didn't run over that. And then we're trying to make this as intelligent as possible. When someone books through the website, you can obviously make changes to it before you approve the order, or you can say under certain circumstances, like it fits within 1 slot, it's within a half-hour drive, I want to make it an official order, have it automatically email the client, the contract, the payment form, and everything else. So right now I'm going to put this at 2.5 hours. And right now it's telling me that I had an inspection that was blocked for 4 hours, but I was free after 3 o'clock. So I'm good at 4 o'clock. My order 124 was blocking in here from 11 till 3. So I'm good at this time. You can see that showing here as well in my requested time slot. So I'm going to go ahead and say, normally this goes outside my working hours because I normally say on here I stop work at 6. This is going to take longer. Yes, I want to continue. I'm going to run a little bit over. It shows all my fees on here. So it auto-calculated out based on all the parameters, and I'll go over that in a little bit. My residential fee, and then my add-ons, my termite, my sewer scope, my thermal. If you have distance fees, so I can say I don't charge an extra fee within 30 miles, but if I go over 30 miles, I charge an extra 20 cents a mile. Then it would calculate that in. If you had any discounts, you added in there, whatever. The subtotal of the inspection is $800. There are some states that have a service tax or a sales tax. So, that can be added in there like it did right here. Added it for $56, and then the fee came out to $856. I can add things in here, manually. This account had a veteran discount on there. I can go ahead and add that in there automatically, and then make a change to the fees. And then once I'm done with that, go ahead and save. Now, this gives me a quick summary. The way that this is set is your default, and you can always change it. So right now, the contract has to be signed online, and do not send the contract or don't send the report until the contract's signed online. Same thing with payment. Payment is done it's going to be done online by default. You can have it don't send the payment link. You can have it automatically do the report online, have the contract signed online, send the payment link, but don't release the report until the payment is registered. There are some times where you're going to get paid through escrow. You don't want to send that link, so you can say the payment will be done offline. Or if you're expecting to be paid with cash or check, payment will be done offline. Don't send the link out, but you do want them to sign the contract. So contract will be signed online, payment will be done offline. So by default, everything is handled online. You can change that on a per inspection basis if you want to. And then any integrations that you've added in here. So far we have an integration from HomeBinder, from Porch for their Gold Assistant, for Blip reviews, for Secure 24. We're working on several others. One of the big ones we've been working on right now is America's Call Center. We've been working on for the last 3 months. That's a really, really big integration because everything has to go 2 ways between the call center and between Hip Office. So we'll be testing that out with some guys here fourth quarter of this year, so very shortly. I'm going to click on next, and this is my final review. So here's all my services. Here's everything about the property. Here's the schedule, the clients, the agents, all my fees, all the settings I had, and I can go ahead and create this order. At any time in this process, I can bail on this setup, and it'll save it as a draft, and I can come back later. So if a client if an agent calls and all you know right now is the address and the agent's name, that's fine. You save it as a draft, you come back later, and you can pull in all the other client's information. Any drafts I have will save here under draft orders. They will show up on your calendar in gray when you're scheduling any other events. So that way someone doesn't schedule over a slot that's still in draft status. And then you can obviously come in here and complete any of these. Normally you're not going to see as many drafts, but this is just kind of our testing account. Now I'm going to go into view orders. So this is to view all the orders that have been created so far. We have a nice dashboard here. I can see all the property images. I can show, more orders at one time, depending on your screen size, or, if you have your screen laid out horizontally. Like I keep a vertical screen so I can see, a lot more information at once. It shows you the current status. So these orders have been created. This order was already imported into Home Inspector Pro. This order was completely completed. There might even be some here, report was sent out but not completed. So you have the option of not marking an order complete until the client has actually clicked the link and viewed the report. So it's kind of neat. I can see the report was sent out, but it's not completed, so that means they haven't actually read it yet. Going through this, I can scroll over. I got the property address, the client's name. I got the fees, whether the report was paid or not yet, what type of services they were, whether the contract was sent. So contracts, the email service goes out every 5 minutes to send emails. So I just created this order. The contract hasn't been sent yet. And then whether the contract was signed. So these ones were signed. I can click on this directly and view the contract. Looking at orders, I can view and print out an order. So if I click on this, it'll bring this up. If I want to print this out for one of my inspectors, it'll show me the current status at the time. So was it created? Is it paid yet? Was the contract signed? How much was the fee that was on there? And for some reason, I'm running on Zoom. The internet runs a little bit slower here for me, but this will pop up here, the form here in a second. I can add a new service. So let's say, your call person calls back after they book an inspection online, your office calls and convinces them to add another service. I can add that directly on here. I can do a manual service on here as well. It doesn't have to be something that's already in the system, put the amount in. I can add multiple services and then save that. When you do that, if you select a new service that had a separate contract add-on, like you add a mold inspection on, then it'll actually prompt you to say, do you want to send them an updated contract to be signed? That'll have that mold addendum on there. And then payment details. So if they've signed or not, if they've paid or not, I can see that. I can see how much it costs. I can process an offline payment right now. I could take a credit card over the phone. I can also download an unpaid invoice on here directly as well. I'm sure all you guys want to be doing $950 inspections. So that's a really good thing there. We can come in here, we can cancel the order, which is, the client calls and says, my agent convinced me to go with someone else and you couldn't talk them out of it. Or you can delete the order completely. Usually that would only be used for, doing tests and stuff like that. I can go through and I can search for a client by their name. Clicked on draft there. Search for them by name, search by address. I can do lots of other things too. And I can also search by status. So I can see all orders that are in the report sent status, meaning the client hasn't actually viewed the report. I can filter that down. Pending orders are leads that came from the website. So that were not set to automatically become orders. So if they're a house that is beyond your 150-mile driving range, or it's a house that's over your automatic pricing at 4,000 square feet, then it'll set here under pending. It'll send you an email. It'll also pop up a message when you log in saying, hey, you have a pending order. Make sure to take care of this immediately so you can get all the information out to the client. And I can go through and I can modify this order directly here as well. I can go through and actually let me jump back to view orders here real quick. The order report list, all that data is under the details as well. It's just a quick place to grab reports. But let me grab an inspection order here. Let's see. There's one that's completed. So I'm going to grab this. All right, so here's everything I have access to. I can see the cover photo. This will come from Zillow, and then it'll be replaced by the photo that you took once you've uploaded the report. I can see all the normal things that I saw when I booked the inspection. I can see all emails that were sent out. So these were the triggers. The trigger was the inspection was booked. The trigger was the contract was signed, a payment was made, and then this is what you called that email in the templates. The client signed the contract, sent a confirmation email. This is who it went to. Was there a blind carbon copy? One of the things this is useful for, if you schedule a third-party service like a sewer scope, but you don't do them, you can have it CC or BCC the guy that's doing your sewer scopes, so he gets that automatically. Here's the actual email that went out, and it's got all the variables and stuff filled in, so it's the actual email. It tells you when it was sent out, and then if I want to resend it, I can click on the resend button and resend it right now. You can go through, these are all the different emails that went out throughout that process. Like I said, we've been getting constant, great ideas from you guys on things to improve. So like the ability to quickly see the time that it was sent, the double check mark here that shows it was delivered, the resend button. It also shows emails that were created when the order was created, but not sent. So you can see inspection canceled was never sent because the inspection wasn't canceled. But we generate those emails into the template system when the order is created. And that way, if you want to modify them, you can actually go back and modify them before sending. So I can see all those emails there. Same thing with the contract. I can see the actual text from the contract here, or if I want to download the PDF or preview, I can preview the PDF in my browser. It automatically filled in all the values you wanted, had links in there, and then we'll show you where the contract was signed. And I'll show you that here in a second. You noticed it's initialed in different places. And then it actually has a full signature on the bottom. That's a really nice signature I have there, just quickly. You can set up a template that has your logo and everything else on there as well. Jumping to that real quick, the email that you trigger out to go to the client will take them to your contract page first. So for example, here's my contract that was sent out to the client. I got a link to this in my email. And it says sign your initials, so I can sign my initials there, go through the contract. And then you have the ability to choose whether the initials are required or whether they're optional. So you might have optional signatures for sending a report out to the agent, or sending sending information to a third party, or any other reason that you have. So you can go through here. This one's required, so the client has to sign it. I'm signing it directly on my screen. And then I could put my full signature, here at the bottom. Now, one of the other things it did, notice there's a mold inspection agreement that was added onto here. And there was also verbiage added in by the different third-party integrations. So to make sure that you guys are always protected, if you're sending information to a third party, the system will automatically add verbiage into the contract. So each of the integrations that we have, they were given the option of having a single phrase that we enter in for all integrations, which is this phrase right here. And then each integration, for example, Porch wanted, if someone was using their services, they wanted a specific verbiage that was for them that their attorneys approved. So when you turn that on, those will be added. And then the client has to sign an initial. If they don't initial, then that integration is turned off. Okay, so very simple. The client has to see that. They have to agree that their information is being shared. That way you're protected, they're protected, we're protected if any information is being shared. Going back to the order details, looking at the SMS messages, the text messages. So I can look and see under inspection booked, here was the text message that went out immediately. The contract was signed. Here's the text message that went out when the contract was signed. And then I'll show you how you set those up. Basically, this was scheduled to go out immediately the second the contract was signed. Payment details. Looks on this one, there was an offline payment of $773, but then there was also a refund for some reason for $150, and I could download the invoice there. I can view the reports. The report here was uploaded twice. The last version is the version the client will see. We have a link to the HIP Office HTML version and then the PDF version. The report was viewed and it was signed. The inspection file looks like we didn't upload during that test, but that's the HZF file, the HIP editable file. That's a good way for you to make sure that you have a backup of all the files. And then this is the audit trail. So I can see the order was created here. All these emails were prepared. Email was sent to the client at 1:47 p.m. The contract was sent. It was unable to send a text message because there wasn't a phone number there. And then most recently, seeing that the order was completed, the report was uploaded, the report was viewed. So it looks like the report was viewed and then the inspector uploaded another version of the report, right? So all this detail and the IP address that it came from. IP addresses can be tracked down in most cases down to the city that they're used. If you're using an integration, it'll show you that the data that was sent and then whether it was a success or not. So you can see at this time, the integration that was sent to Porch, it said the request was too large. This is something we actually fixed after this order was created a couple weeks ago. If there was any errors or any warnings. So the system generates warnings for things that it thinks you should do, but you haven't. They do not affect the order at all. So for example, if you don't have an email that goes out when the order is completed, it's not required, but we're going to show you a warning saying that, hey, are you sure you meant to not send out an order being completed message? All right, you can go through, you can look at your calendar, look at all your upcoming inspections. If you have any inspections that are in the draft status, you can view that as well. And of course, this syncs over to Google Calendar as well. We're actually rewriting all of this with Google Calendar to do better server-side sync, because right now it syncs when you're in your browser. We want to completely take that off your browser and do it through the server. View all invoices, look at refunds, that's all usual stuff. Looking at all your data. So look at all your agents. You can import your agents from another system. I had someone asking earlier if you can import all your data from another system. That's something that we're working on right now. A couple importers to import from some of the other scheduling systems. It is not completed yet, but we are in the process of working on that because we've had a lot of requests. Same thing with clients. I can come in here and I can import my clients or export my clients here as well. I can add new clients and oops, let me click on that. I can add new clients in here as well, or you're adding your clients in as you're doing or scheduling the inspection. Now, the most important parts here is our email templates, our contract templates, and our text messaging templates. This is simple to use once you go through it. It's super flexible, but I want to kind of go through this here. We have videos that cover this as well specifically, but I just kind of want to show you how to do it. So first, for each service, the default service covers every other service if you haven't set something specifically. So if I haven't set an order creation email for a mold inspection by itself, then the default is what will take its place. The reason we did this is we pre-populated the default, and that way as you create new service types, they're already functional. If I want to go in and create a specific email for when an order is created, then I'll just go down to mold inspections and start filling that out. So if I go to residential right now, and then the triggers are what has to occur for this email to be sent out. So I want a residential email to go out when the inspection is booked. And I can see right now, I already have one. It's called send the confirmation email to the client. It goes out immediately. And then here's what it looks like. It goes to both clients, if there are two clients. If not, it'll obviously ignore the second one. And I BCC'd it to myself. That's a blind carbon copy. Here's the subject name of the email, and I can input variables in there. And then here's the email that goes out. I can make this a little bigger. Dear client name, thanks for booking an inspection with company name on inspection date, add inspection time. Please click on the contract link below to complete your inspection prepayment and confirm your booking. I also added in a variable for fee details. That variable adds a list of all the things that were ordered and the cost. And then I have a contract payment link. This in brackets here, this makes the text view contract and payment link a clickable link to the text of, or it clicks and goes directly to the contract link. This, if you just had the link without the brackets afterwards, then it would just paste in there the entire web address, which it doesn't look as nice. So this allows you to control the text that's being displayed to the clients. All the variables are here on the side. So I have my contract payment link. I have all my inspection details. I can go through here. I have all the client details. I have the agent details. There's a ton of information that's in here. And then the most important one that's required with this is the contract payment link. And that's right here. When I'm going through these, let's say contract is signed. Same thing. I have an email that's already scheduled. I can add more events. So maybe when the contract's signed, I want an email going out to the agent as well saying, hey, FYI, contract signed, we're good to go. And I can schedule it, say add new event. Let's see, contact agent, contract was signed. Not that most of you guys would do this, but just as an example. And I can say that I want this to go out 30 minutes after the contract is signed. And that's it. Set who it's going to. I have a list here. I can go to the buyer's agent, the seller's agent. I've manually added someone before so I can see them in there. So I'm just going to go to the buyer's agent and anyone I want to CC or the subject name itself there. So I want to pause here for a second because obviously I've been talking nonstop, and let me jump over to see if anyone's asked any chat questions in here. All right, let's see. I recently set up my account. I'm working on templates. I found when I create an order, open and change a template, the change will not affect an open order. So that's correct. So if you make a template change at the current time, those emails are created when you create the order. The order does not change if you then go change your email template and then come back. That's something we've actually already added to our to-do list. So on that email page where we had resend an email, there's also a regenerate email that we've added on our beta version. It's just not public yet. So if you do make a template change, you can choose to go to the order and click regenerate, and then it'll regenerate that email. Obviously, that will only affect emails that have not been sent out to the public yet. In fact, let me just double check that. I don't have any scheduled orders right now. In the beta version, it's also in the outbox or the mailbox there too. So that is an option. We got a suggestion on about a week or two ago, and we've already added that in there. Let me jump back here. Where did those chat messages go? Can you put on hold an email to prevent it from setting? Can you change the color of the order completed status to green? Thought we already had changed the colors, but I did notice it wasn't showing that on the order list screen. So let me make a note of that real quick. Completed color status. Yeah, because we have the order status and colors on the calendar page, but you're right, I don't think it was like that on the order details. Someone asked how to receive payments. I'll go over that here in just 1 second. So the email templates, once you've set these up, if I go in and I have specific, a mold inspection, or I can set it up for that. If I have a thermal inspection, any of those services, I can add those details on there. Same thing with text messages. Obviously, it's important to remember with a text message, the messages need to be a lot shorter. Otherwise, they're sending 3 or 4 texts to get your entire message out of there. But it's the exact same principle. What's the service? It's a commercial job. I want a text message to go out when the payment's made saying, thanks for paying. I can give it a name. I have none set up right now for a commercial when the payment's made. So I can add a new event. I can go through and let's type a name here. Let's click on add event first. Thanks for paying. And I can send a message out saying, thanks for paying. A invoice has been sent to you right now. Paying an invoice has been sent to your email. And I can add in, if I wanted to, the address or anything else on there. Save that, and now I want that to go out to both clients. I can also send it to go to the agent's phone numbers if I wanted to. Notice it had popped up to tell me, hey, You can't save this until you've said who it's going to. And then go ahead and save it. We do have a character count there, so you can kind of keep track. I believe text messages on most systems are 140 messages. Otherwise, it'll just break into multiple messages. This does vary based on US and Canada and other countries too. Now, getting into contract templates has a very similar premise where you select what service you're doing, but you also have something new, which is kind of cool in how scheduling services work. So if I have a residential inspection, I go through, I have my residential agreement. Within here, I have all my variables here. I also have an add-on editor. Someone was messing with this on my staff and added a mold add-on there. I'll explain that in a minute. So I can go through. If you're copying and pasting this from another program, please copy into Notepad first. Or if you bring it in, highlight all the text and do the clear formatting. But it's best to go through Notepad because that removes all the formatting. If you copy from Word and other programs, there's hidden formatting that can sometimes just cause things to be a little bit funky. You have a list of all the initials and other variables you want to put in the contract. So you'll notice I've used client 1 initials. Realistically, you probably also want to do client 2 initials if you're the type of person that wants both clients to sign. I can also have in the date of the signature, so it'll automatically add that date in there. I can go through and you can see in places I've added in the client's full signature. Add-on services contract is something that's required in there. You can choose where that goes, and I'll show you in just a second what that actually does. Now, some inspectors will put everything that they do in one contract, right? One of the cool things about HIP Office is we don't need to do that. So I'm going to take the mold section out of my residential agreement because I might not always be doing a separate mold inspection on here. And then I'm going to save this. And then now what I can do is for my ancillary services like mold, here's what goes out to the client if mold is the only thing that's being done, if mold is the primary service. But if mold is an add-on, I can come down here to the add-on editor and I can add text in here. And let's say in this case, I want to take out the signature field and I don't need something about reading the entire agreement or severability or litigation because that's already in my main contract. In fact, the only thing I want is these 4 things. Now, what's going to happen is when someone selects a residential or a commercial or any inspection type that also includes a mold inspection, the add-on text will be added to the end of the contract. So if you're doing a residential contract, and most of the time, by the way, this is probably going to be 1 paragraph. It's not even going to be this big. You're going to have something specific to what you do with mold. And you can have this for, your mold, your termites, your radons as an add-on. And then when a client books a residential and has those 3 add-ons, those 3 things will automatically add on to the primary contract. And so that way the client's only signing 1 big contract, not signing 3 or 4 separate contracts. And you don't have to think about all the different variations of combinations that you do. That was one of the complaints that we had with some of the other systems is guys had 20 different versions of their contracts based on every possible combination of services that they did. So this will automatically build your contract for you. And I can go through and obviously save this, and then that'll become my new thing. If anybody has questions on that, go ahead and you can ask that. Setup diagnosis is a pretty cool tool. This is something that you should run once you think you've set everything up. Takes a little bit to run, but what it does is it goes through all your email templates, it goes through all your contracts, and then it tells you if there's anything that is an error that's in red. So basically, thermal inspections right now, there's an email template that goes out if that's the only service being booked, and it does not include the mandatory link for signing the contract and making a payment. So it's giving you an FYI there. If you don't do this and you go create an order, it'll process the order, but then it'll flag it as an error for you because to let you know that this wasn't handled. The things in yellow are warnings. So it's not required that you have a report link in these services, but we think it's a little odd. So we're going to let you know that this is probably something you want to double check. And you can go through here and look at each of these warnings. Fee settings. Okay, so for mold, sewer scope, and thermal, there's no fees that are set right now. Probably something that you want to do. And also, I haven't set up all the working hours for this inspector. So this runs a quick diagnosis, kind of tells you here the differences between the two and when you last run it. Super useful to run through that and handle that. Going through settings, I'll run through this. If you guys are okay, I'll stay on a little bit longer. I have no problem here talking. Looks like some of you guys are saying yes. By the way, there are a lot of videos, and we're adding a lot more videos here as well. So going through the scheduling parameters, obviously super important. Where is the inspector's address? You know, where are we scheduling this from? How are we calculating out the drive distance? What's the working hours of this inspector? You can go through and add these in a few different ways. What days do they work? What's the scheduling structure? So for a residential inspection, based on the size, how long will it take me to do? And I can vary this with the sliders, right? I can say right now it's set up for every 1,000 square feet will take me an hour. I can also come through and say, you know what, I just want to make sure anything up to 2,000 square feet, I always want to give myself 2 hours. And then you'll notice it modified, and the next thing now is 2 to 5,000. 5,000 under fees was set at the max amount that I want any sort of automatic scheduling or automatic fees to happen. You can change that. If you have all your stuff drilled down to 10,000 square feet, good for you. You change it to 10,000 square feet under fees, and you can come in here and do this. But by default, we have it set to 5,000. So I can sit here and say, you know what, for 2,000 to 3,000, I'm going to be in there for 3 hours. I need to add a new line, and then from 3 to 5 hours, I'm going to be there for 4 hours. I'm done. I'm going to save. So now that's how Hip Office, you know, figures out the base, how long is an inspection going to take me. And then for distance, you know what, for 1 to 30 miles, add 30 minutes to my overall time that I'm going to block. If I'm going up to 150 miles, calculate this out in a minute per mile. This is going to be drastically different for someone in downtown LA to someone in Wyoming. So, you know, we don't want to auto-calculate this for you. We let you do this. We have been playing around with Waze in Google Maps and trying to have it calculate things out as well. And we will be adding this in here as an option because Waze actually does a estimated based on that time. So if I say a 4 o'clock inspection on a Wednesday, it can actually average it out on all Wednesdays at 4 o'clock in the past. It's a little bit more accurate than this is, but this functions for now. And then remember, I'm under residential. So if I'm doing a residential inspection, how much time do I want to add for a termite, for a mold, for sewer scope and thermal? And this is separate from if I was doing a commercial inspection and adding these services on. If I'm doing a commercial, you know, a thermal inspection is probably going to take me a lot longer. I want to make sure I add an hour onto there. And it's telling me time can't be blank. Oops. I need to add in, so termite, you know, it's going to take me an extra 30 minutes. Mold's not going to take me anything. Sewer scope's going to take me an hour. And I can go through, and now I can save those times. This is how HIP is automatically calculating out the time that it takes if a client's booking, and then the suggested time to you. And then I can come in here and add time slots. So when the clients, I have to set my working days and everything too, which I haven't done yet. So I can come in here and add time slots, say an 8 a.m. time slot, a noon time slot, a 3 p.m. time slot. Each day, maybe I don't work on Sundays, and then those are the time slots that are presented to the clients when they come in here and they inspect. To do that, I have to go in here and set my working hours. I can set this, you know, from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. and set my working hours. Someone pointed out we added in a new chat feature so you can ask questions in directly, and it lovely gets in the way of, there you go, of automatically clicking on some of these things. I need to set something for that day. Okay. So you go through and once you've set up all your working hours, you can add your slots. And we have a video that kind of goes into this, into a little more detail. Doing all this up. I haven't set up any of these days yet. This will show you when you have open times and everything else as well, when you have to add more things into your schedule. If you have any holidays that are on here, I'll pull that up on my calendar and we can actually show that to you as well. Going through services, this is to add what services you offer right now. Obviously, you might not have a sewer cam. You might not do sewer scopes. So I can go through here. I can add new services. And then for each service, like I have sewer scope set right now. It is not a primary service. It's only an add-on. And I can come in here and I could toggle that on and off and say, hey, I'm willing to go out and just do a sewer scope by itself. And that affects everywhere else in the program once you've added those in there. Fee structure is very similar to the scheduling parameters. We go in and I take my default will cover anything I haven't specifically set yet, or I can specifically go into residential. Here's my fee set up. I can do per square foot. I could do an overall. I could even say up to 3,500 square feet. I have an overall price, but from 3,500 to 5,000, I charge 20 cents a square foot. And so you can mix and match the per square foot and the overall throughout that process. The same thing with the distance. I don't charge anything to go 30 miles, but if I go over 30 miles, I charge 10 cents a mile, 20 cents a mile, whatever it is that you want. For add-on services, I can do a per square foot or an overall price. So maybe for mold inspections, I want to charge 20 cents a square foot because I have to order all my tests. But for everything else, I have a flat rate. You can add all that in there, and the same thing for any of your services. And then if you have any discounts, we're actually adding more things into this as well right now. But you can add in a percentage in here, like I had a 7% sales tax. You can add in different discounts you add in there. You can also hide this from the client and roll the cost in. So if you have a distance fee, you can have that rolled in to your residential fee. So that way the clients don't actually see that that you charge extra for driving. It'll just look like your main residential thing costs more. And then you could separate out some of your other services on here. Going through, we have our invoice design and our contract design. That's basically for you to control like the headers and the footers, what information you want in which corner, getting your logo on there, any of your address information. Like right now I have the address in the top left. You know, maybe I want that to be on the top right corner. I want that to be in the bottom right corner. I can customize all of that. And then I can actually create a preview and see what an invoice would look like directly on here as well. Invoices can go out now as a paid or unpaid. And so clients can, you can generate something to send to escrow, even if it's unpaid, and make sure to say that. Add previous clients or family and friends discount. Yes. So Steve, you can definitely add, you know, that previous client discount. And then when you're creating an order, you can make up any sort of discount you want. You know, it's a my favorite agent discount, and you add that directly on there. You can go through with your employees. So with HIP 6, even people who aren't using HIP Office will have access to some of the HIP Office functionality. One of the things is the employee section. This is how you will add employees under you. This is how you can add licenses under subscriptions to those employees. So who has access to the cloud, who has access to a license. If you fire a guy today, you can come in here and revoke that license. And the next time he opens HIP Office, if he has internet access, it'll automatically pull that license. If he doesn't have internet access after 2 weeks, it'll automatically pull it off of his machine as well. Realistically, there's no one that's going to not be online. So as soon as you open up HIP now, it pings the servers to say, is this valid license? Is this still a valid license? And that way you can do that. The pending confirmation, once you add an employee by email address, it emails them and they have to say, yes, this is someone who really works for me. Same thing with subscriptions. The subscription shows me, so I actually paid for a cover design under HIP Desktop. There's one license that was purchased for the desktop. It's still available. I can allocate this to an employee by clicking on to myself or to someone else. We had a cloud service, so there's 4 cloud services attached to this account. Only one is allocated. There's three that are available. And then if you purchased a custom SMS number, those will show. You can do a custom SMS per employee, but most people are just going to have an office number. And then how many HIP offices licenses you have. And then you can actually come in and buy additional licenses for anything you need directly in here. This will save our inspectors a ton of time. We have companies that have 150 inspectors, or even if you just have 3, asking for a license every 6 months or every 12 months obviously takes a little bit of time. Thomas asked, would you have to add a fee for crawl space as an add-on service? So right now, a crawl space would be an add-on service. We already have something we're working on where you can basically add any sort of extra service you want, like there's multiple roofs, there's a crawl space, the house is older than 1950, and then have HIP automatically calculate those out based on, asking through the scheduler. That is not completed yet. So at this point, yes, that would be an add-on service, or you would just increase the price when you're on the scheduler for the residential fee, you can bump it up. But we're actually working on a much more stronger integration with that right now. And then getting integrations. So here's the current integrations we have. We're working on 3 others right now. We have a line of companies asking us to add. If a company asks us to integrate with HIP Office, we politely tell them that we really can't spend the time until we have enough inspectors that have asked for it. So the only reason that these companies are showing here already is because inspectors have asked us to add it. All of them are automatically off. Nothing is turned on by default. When you come in here, you can disconnect it once you've turned it on. You can also set it to be on or off by default for each order. So if I have this all off for each order, when I'm creating the order, I can choose to turn it on for that specific order or vice versa. Everything is on, and then I create an order and someone says, I don't want to use Secure 24, or the agent is trying to give them an alarm system. You can turn that off for that specific client. And then remember, they're going to see this in their contract as well. You could choose to list out the names, or actually I take that back. We do list out the names now within that verbiage, and then they'll initial that and sign that too. Payment gateway is obviously super important. We highly recommend Guardian. They're the only merchant that we know of that is 100% in our industry. They're at all the conferences. You can click here and sign up for them. They have a special rate for our users, and we actually use them as well. Guardian does authorized.net or CardPoint, but you can have any merchant that uses authorized.net or merchant or CardPoint. It does not have to be Guardian Financial. That's just who we recommend. You could turn payment mode on, online or offline. So if you're only doing offline payments, turn that off, and then they won't get a payment link when you send out an order. Stripe is done. We've also finished PayPal and Square. Those are in beta testing right now, so they're just not in public. I saw someone asked about Venmo. I'm not sure if Venmo has a plugin, but we could definitely check that out and add it. Like I said, we base what we're doing based on the number of inspectors asking for it. So I have hundreds of items right now on our to-do list. The more that someone asks for it, either via email or on our message, the Facebook groups, we move it up the list. If you want to champion a cause, definitely jump on the HIP discussion group and say, who else wants this? That's the best way to get, 50 other guys saying, I want it too. And then, we'll see that and move that up the list. Other settings has a bunch of other things in here that kind of didn't need its own separate menu item yet. But a lot of those things we have been adding in a separate items as we add more options. For example, do you want to require both clients to sign the contract if there's 2 clients? Do you want to automatically send a report to the client when it's uploaded? Or do you want to wait and then you go review it and release it? This is useful if you're working with other clients. Do you want to auto-complete an order when the report has been paid for uploaded and viewed, or do you want to manually mark it or complete? You can also turn off the requirement that it has to be viewed. So if I check this, then if the report's uploaded, it's marked complete. If I don't check it, it has to be uploaded and viewed. The external inspection booking is actually out of beta. I need to remove that message. You can go ahead, copy this text directly to your website. This adds an iframe that will appear. Right here we have, do you want to create an order directly if the maximum size and distance conditions are satisfied? So in the test account here, we saw the max condition was 5,000 square feet and I think 150 miles. So if it's under that condition, then it'll automatically mark it as an order. It'll send out the contracts, the payment link, all automatically. If it's over that, it'll put it in pending. Same thing if I turn this off, every order will go into pending and you'll get an email saying there's an order here. The sender email address. This is probably one of the most critical things in the entire system. Don't use Hotmail. Don't use AOL. Don't use any of those free email services as your from address, because the receiving party, if you're sending an email to a Gmail account or to someone at NASA or whatever, those servers tend to block emails that come from free accounts. If you want to verify that 99.9% of your messages are going through, you want to add in an email address that's at your domain, and then when you save it, you're actually going to get a list of steps you have to go through to add what's called DKIM verification. So you'll send that to your webmaster. They'll attach this code to your website that says, we at smithhomeinspections.com trust the Office Home Inspector Pro.com servers, which is really Amazon servers, to send emails on our behalf. And that way, when a NASA client receives an email, their servers check that and they say, is this an authorized sender on this person's behalf? So this is the number one thing that you want to make sure to do. And we have an article on our help desk that goes over that more. And you'll also get an email when you type in an address here. If you are still using a Gmail address and stuff like that, at least come in here, type it in, click save. It'll send an email to you to verify. That does a little bit. It basically tells the world that Amazon verified that this is a valid account, but that doesn't float for everybody. So really, really, really you want to go through and use your own email address. If you don't know how to do that, contact us. We'll give you steps. We recommend using Google's email service, google.com/A. They have a free business service where it's your branded domain through their entire system, and it's inexpensive. It's like $5 or $6 per user per month. You can also purchase a dedicated text phone number. This is the only thing we charge extra for because it costs us money to send text messages out. You can search for text messages, and this also allows all the numbers to be forwarded to you. It gives you a little more control of seeing who the messages came from. So I can do 909. Click on search available numbers, and it'll allow me to choose different numbers. I'm not sure why it's not giving me a number right now. I'll have to definitely check that out. Let's see. Interesting. I'll have to check and see what happened there. Something must have happened with Twilio right now that it's not showing the available numbers. Oh, you know what? It's not showing it because I don't have any purchase numbers. So once you've purchased a number, then it'll let you go through and then it'll let you do that. Okay, going through reports. I can run different reports, financial reports. I have custom reports you can do. You saw also there, I'll show you in a second, there's video tutorials. We have a bunch of reports in here. If you guys want more, it's super easy for us to add reports. It just takes us a couple hours because we created a template system. So please, by any means, come on here. And suggest to us via the help desk chat right here, or whatever, that there's a report that you want. We've been adding a bunch from, via you guys already. For example, I saw Steve Gladstone's on here. I think he inspects in multiple states. So we added a feature here for inspection fees by state over a time range. So I can go through and now I can inspect, or I can select this. I can go through and say, I want to look at, my monthly for September of this year, generate the report, and everyone was in California. So here's my total fees for last month in California. I can download this as a PDF or print it out directly as well. So there's a bunch of different things. And then of course, video tutorials. So these are always important. We're adding a bunch more in here right now. If you click this button in the top right, this is a playlist of all the videos that are currently available. And you can go through that at any time here as well. I want to, take a minute and thank you guys for coming on, and let me see if you guys have any questions. Feel free. Let's see. Jared said, will we be able to print a year-end breakdown of mileage and income? So yes, the income report is already done. That was actually where I was showing right now. You can select an annual. Mileage is something that there's not a report for yet. Definitely can be easily added. Let me add that to my notes here real quick. I'm not sure if it's on our to-do list already, so let me add that on there. And then we had actually discussed this, I think, on the HIP office group. You guys wanted us to basically take the mileage on the way there and then double that value. So we'll definitely get that added in there. I do like the idea someone asked about Venmo and Zelle, because obviously you don't have to pay any fees for that. So let me see if there's a way to do that and actually record that. Dean, you said team inspection features. So the team inspection feature I mentioned earlier was for HIP's, for HIP Mobile. So we have a live team inspection feature that's being beta tested right now, where everyone can see each other's work at the same time. That will be public here very shortly, because we're already doing some beta testing on it. You can always merge inspections right now, which a lot of our guys have done for a long time. But the advantage of this is if you have 3 guys on site, and 1 guy's in the attic and 1 guy's on the roof, the guy on the roof can actually see, what pictures were taken in the attic or vice versa. So it kind of helps to see if that leak, how much damage was done instantly, just by looking at the photos. It took us about 2 years to get this working perfectly, primarily because of all the issues of what happens when guys go offline. So if someone goes offline and they're taking a bunch of pictures, how's that handled when they go back online? Or someone makes comments about an item and then they come back online and someone else had commented on the same item. There's a bunch of logic that goes into that. We really wanted to make sure it was working perfectly before we got it out to everybody. Let me look. Lisa asked, any cons to using Guardian? Not that I have seen. So we probably are on our 5th merchant that we've used in the last 16 years that Home Inspector Pro has been around. We still use PayPal for the guys that want to make payments, but they drive me nuts on some things. We also, because we have so many international customers, we have to use them sometimes. But Guardian by far has the best rates. They guarantee that they'll beat your current platform. So I think they offer even like $500 if they can't. And because they only work in the inspection industry, that was the problem we had with the other companies in the past, is they didn't feel like they were beholden to inspectors or had to service them, where because Guardian is at all the conferences, they're going to see you face to face. They're a lot more responsive to the needs of an inspector. For example, if someone tries to claim your charge was fraudulent, they'll help you out and all that kind of stuff. Charles asked, when a client books online, can they select any additional inspection services you've set up? So the answer is yes for that service. So under residential, you can have a different set of add-ons that you have if they selected commercial. So you might not do a sewer scope on a commercial, and so it won't show up, but it will show up for residential, and they can select any of those things. So that's definitely something that that you can customize as much as you want when you're going through there. Let's see here. I think that's it as far as questions. If anyone else has any questions, please definitely feel free here to unmute yourself and ask, or, type it in here. Otherwise, I have been recording this and I will post this. If you see other things as you're playing with HIP Office, by the way, anyone right now can go sign up for HIP Office under pricing on our website, and you get 3 months free to test it out. So go in there, test it out, have fun. Give me a giant list of all the things you want in there. We have 6 programmers working full time on HIP Office. Well, 5.5. One of them is working on multiple things. But we're meeting a couple times a week. We're cranking out all sorts of new stuff, and it's been a lot of fun. But it really, the features come from you guys. the inspectors are shaping what happens with hip office. And because this is a new system, what inspectors want today is very different from what they wanted 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So we want to make sure we're basing this on what everyone wants now. And like I said, we already have, thousands and thousands of inspections that are on here from the guys that have been using it since January. We have some inspectors alone that are over 400 inspections just by themselves. But we want you guys to really give us as much feedback as you can as you're going through this. So otherwise, Jared's asking about HIP 6. HIP 6 is all done as far as my programmers are concerned. It's me holding it back because I'm going through and scrutinizing things that I want to see simplified, because I know after 16 years, if I release something, where the majority of an inspector's questions are going to come from. So I'm trying to make sure it's pretty, it's easy to use, and things are simplified. The primary focus right now is actually the PDF creation tool, where you can insert form fillable PDFs. It's all completely functional, but there's a lot of work to map a section in an item to a specific field, and I'm trying to clean that up to simplify that. And you only do it once when you create the form, but I just want to make that as simple as possible. So hopefully I'm releasing to all our beta testers here in the next week or two, and then we'll let them have at it for a couple of weeks before we release it to everyone else. I definitely want it out more than anyone else. We've been working on HIP 6 here for a year and a half, and there's so many awesome things that we've added into it. And we literally already have things that are completed for 6.1 that just aren't going to go on in HIP 6, because I don't want to have too much all at the same time. It's better for us to limit it somewhat, so that way guys are testing things out in the beta group before it goes out to the public. So any other questions here? Can you add Home Advisor pay service link? Gordon, you will need to send me information on that. I don't know anything. I'm guessing to have Home Advisor come out and do services. I don't know what the relationship is with home inspectors. I know the Porch Gold Assistant is something that guys have been using. We're also working with Repair Pricer to do repair pricing. Porch does repair pricing as well. We want to make sure that we have the items that you guys are requesting. I definitely recommend checking out the integrations we have right now. We started with those because those are some of the most powerful. Blip reviews has been amazing. We have guys with over 500 reviews from turning that on. We have guys that are using Secure 24. You got like an extra $200 for each inspection that you do, that someone gets an alarm system. The Porch Gold Assistant basically is an assistant service where they call your client if they've agreed to help them through the whole transaction. And then what was the other one? Oh, HomeBinder basically is a service for your client to track paint colors and manuals and appliances and everything else directly on there. Charles is asking, mapping to PDF. Yeah, so Charles, if you add a PDF, and it could be something like a WinMit or a termite form, it can even be like a monster-free certificate that you put in the back of the house, where you have a form field for name, and the client's name will automatically go in there, and that PDF will be in the back of the report. So any PDF form you can think of can be form filled from anywhere within HIP. So it's a pretty cool, powerful service. Jared, you're asking about font stock. I'm not sure what that is. Gordon saying with Home Advisor, you can get paid from them, the client usage. So you can get a referral fee, basically, it looks like. So you'll have to fill me in on that one. Shoot me an email. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask. I hope everyone's staying safe. I know from all the inspectors I've talked to, the last couple months have been the busiest that most inspectors have had in the last 20 years. For us too. When HIP started 16 years ago, it was me for the first 3 years. And at year 4, we hired my second employee. And by year 5, we had our third. Last year, we had 10. We're at 18 now. So we've hired 8 new employees in the last 6 months alone. We've hired 3 new support staff just in the last month. You guys are so busy. Half of all our sales right now are coming from guys that are adding new inspectors to their business. So we leveled off in COVID. We never went down because we had a sale a lot of guys took advantage of. And since then, you guys have been exhausting us. So I've been on till 1 a.m., as most of you guys know, on a daily basis answering questions. We've hired more employees in Colorado and Florida just to make sure we're hitting more time zones. So we have our support now going all the way until midnight Eastern time, with multiple employees and on weekends, mostly to save me, because otherwise I'm answering your questions, because I feel this obligation that when someone asks a question at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, it has to be answered. So I'm trying to get people to take care of that for me instead of it being me, so I can, help create good features for you guys. So hopefully you guys got a lot of great information out of this. If you have any other questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Otherwise, you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys soon.